It is spooky season. We have been scared enough. We have ran from hurricanes. We have driven through hurricanes. We have been scared to death that we might lose our house during the storm, and we are back. And what do we want to do? We want to be scared a little bit more.
Yeah, why not? Just keep the trend going.
But we're gonna keep it British, baby. We got a cool video. It's 25 creatures in English folklore from the Jolly Reaver, right? Check out his channel. This is 25, but we are only gonna watch 10 of them. And if you wanna see the other 15, you're gonna have to go to his channel, links down below to the video, to watch it yourself. But you know what we're gonna do in that spare moment that we got?
What?
We're gonna tell some of our own ghost stories.
Some of our own little family stories. You down with that?
Sure.
Maybe you got a ghost story you wanna share? Maybe something you see, or if you've seen any of these creatures or know anything about these creatures, let us know down in the comments. And while you're down there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, because we are almost at 10K and we have a very special surprise. Jolly Reaver, 10 creatures in English folklore. Let's get into it.
Will-o'-the-wisps, sometimes known as fairy fire or corpse candles, are found hovering over marshlands and swamps, mostly at night time. These atmospheric ghostly lights take on the appearance of lanterns or flickering lamps, and appear to lost travellers who then follow them, only to end up more lost than they were already, or even trapped in a bog or swamp, left to freeze or drown. Many have speculated on what these lights actually are. Some think they're ghosts, some think they're fairies or other mischievous sprites, while others believe them to be elemental land spirits. In some accounts, the wisps are guarding a sacred location, such as an important burial site or even hidden treasure. They aren't always malevolent though. In some tales, depending on how lost travellers treat the wisp, they help lead people out of difficult situations and back onto the road.
So is a wisp a fairy?
I think.
I feel like I blacked out on that. I feel like, would that be considered as fair folk? Because I know that's a whole thing of British folklore. There's always something that's trying to lead you deeper into the forest.
I don't know nothing about that, but that seemed cool. I like it.
I do feel like the folklore and myth is strong.
I feel like you can make a good movie out of that.
Yeah. The fairy mist.
Yeah. Hey,
Wisp.
tell us in the comments below what's your favorite spooky or scary movies?
Yes. Tell us it all. We're obsessed with this. Tell us it all.
The Barghest is a phantom black dog that's found in the north, mostly in Yorkshire. Unlike many other black dogs, the Barghest ventures into urban areas and isn't limited to the countryside. Most notably, it preys on lone travellers in the narrow snickelways of York, and also ventures into the town of Whitby.
I don't think so.
The Boghest is often seen as an omen of death. At the passing of a notable person, the Boghest may appear, followed by all the other dogs of the local area in a kind of funeral procession, heralding the person's death with howling and barking. If anyone were to get in the Boghest's way, it would strike out with its paw and leave a wound that never heals.
So there is like this story in my family, and we are British ancestry, that there's this dog that if you see this dog, we call it the death dog. And it's a black dog, exactly like he was talking about, that if you see this dog, it's a death omen.
Really?
Yeah, they call it the death dog.
We don't have that, but we just think if you kill a bird, somebody's gonna die.
Well, I think that goes back to the old thing, like if a bird flies into the window.
Yeah.
It's gonna,
Like if one,
it's a symbol of death.
drops dead on your doorstep or something, someone's gonna die, or if like you hit one with your car, someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
But nothing about a dog that I
We
know
have
of.
the death dog. The death dog.
I'll have to ask somebody though.
Yeah, that's like I've always heard that all my life.
Yeah, I never heard nothing about
Like
it.
if you're out walking at night, which was probably a lot more common back then than now, if you see a dog, I don't know if it had red eyes, because now I seen that, like I want to make it more in my head than probably what it was. But basically, if you've seen that, and like it's not supposed to just be like if you see a black dog, like you get a vibe
Yeah.
that that's like what you're looking at, that it's a dog, but it's not, you know, and that's like the story. Like you see that, you or somebody close to you is going to die.
Redcaps are a type of goblin, murderous and malevolent, that reside along England's border with Scotland, most commonly inhabiting ruined castles and peel towers, specifically those that were the scenes of foul deeds of wickedness and murder. It's here that they lie in wait for those unfortunate enough to be wandering alone in the bleak and wild borderlands. Redcaps have razor-sharp teeth, fingers
Scary
armed
looking.
with talons like eagles, fiery red eyes, iron boots, and grisly hair that streams down from their shoulders. They wield a pike staff, which they use to deal with their victims, often those that trespass on their domain. Then they dip their caps in the blood of their victims, hence the name of this creature.
Okay, here's my thought of like, there's so many things like the giant squid or the giant octopus that we thought was fake for so long. Now it's pretty much common knowledge that that's a thing. Like we genuinely don't know if there's like a size cap for these things, right? We don't know if there's a size cap for them. So
Squids?
yeah, but they was legends of myth. And what I love about Great Britain is those islands are so full of like mystery and folklore that like, okay, just bear with me, because like you could think I'm crazy or whatever, right? But now we did those videos and we was talking about like northern England and stuff like that, and we was talking about like, was there any wolves or any of this? And they're like, no, we killed everything off
Yeah.
that could have been violent to you. And that was wolves. There was an opportune attacker, right? What if there was something that actually would come out like any normal army, or any that would actually, that British actually fought? So things seem mystical at the time, but then like, okay, like you ever hear of the Hobbit thing?
No.
All right, so there's actual tribe of hobbits like that was in caves at one time
Oh.
that like
Like
fit.
for real?
Yeah, they was like humans. It was a 3 or 4 foot tall. Look up real hobbits, right? I'll put a picture right here of a real hobbit. But that idea that there actually was, and then when you see it, it's like, okay, it's not that mystical. What if there was like a race of people that's how they got their name?
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
The Hairy Hands is a strange legend that emerged following an unusually high number of accidents on a remote stretch of road in Dartmoor in the county of
Just
Devon.
about my hands now.
Since about 1910, motorists and cyclists alike reported suffering unusual accidents along the road between Post Bridge and Two Bridges. In most cases, people reported that they felt as if something had taken control of the wheel or the handles and made their vehicle swerve violently off the road. These stories gained national attention in 1921 when an army captain reported that these ghostly hands had taken the handles of his motorcycle and tried to force him off the road.
It's like Freddy Krueger with the...
Not all
Yeah.
encounters with the
Same.
hairy hands involved moving vehicles, though. In 1924, a woman was camping on the moors with her husband and reported that an invisible hand was trying to gain access to the caravan.
Okay, he got to be telling that story wrong. If the hand is invisible, how do you know it's a hand? Just saying.
Black Anice is a terrifying hag in the folklore of Leicestershire. She lives in a cave in the Dane Hills with a great oak tree at the entrance, on which she tans the skins of young children that she's killed.
Oh my gosh.
At night, she would venture out from a cave in search of more children to harvest, reaching inside of windows with her long arms and snatching away children and babies as they slept. It was said that cottages in Leicestershire were purposely built with small windows for this reason, and even then they were covered with animal skins and protective herbs to keep her at bay, to keep her arms out of the house. When she ground her teeth and howled, the sound could be heard from up to 5 miles away, giving people time to bolt the doors.
Listen, really crazy. So, all right, me and Tiffany's family both have this story. And each one of my great-great-grandmother, right? Or it's my great-grandmother, I think it was, had my great-grandfather. And during those times, the men would go out to work, but they could be gone for the whole day, or they could be gone for 2 or 3 days. So she was sitting in her home. I don't know if it was like a travel trailer or what it was, but she was just sitting there. She was completely just kind of by herself, right? There was other people close to her, but at that point in time, she was by herself. And she had the baby into the, what do you call that?
Bassinet.
In the bassinet. When she heard a knock on her door. She walked up and said, "Who is it?" And she heard this lady's voice that said,
"Do you have a baby?"
And she instantly got really scared because my family is very superstitious, and she knew that, it could be a witch. And she said, "No, there's no baby in there," right? And the lady said,
"Let me see the baby."
And she said the woman never got angry or anything. She said, "No, you're not coming in the house." And she heard the lady step off, and the lady just circled the house, and just from different sides of the house, she could hear the woman say,
"Just let me see the baby. Just let me see the baby. Just let me see the baby."
And she said it went on for an hour, just walking around the house. And she said when she woke up the next morning, she finally just fell asleep. She was holding the baby, scared to death. When she woke up the next morning, I don't know if she found her or the men found him. When she came up, the entire home was covered in scratch marks. It looked like a bear went across it on the door and everything, trying to get in. So they always say, at, what is it, 12 o'clock in the morning till 6 a.m., and you have a baby, never open the door for anybody. That's a family thing. And I'm guessing you got one?
Yeah. So this was about, my grandparents told me this story. When my dad was a baby, they were parked in a campground, because I think they were traveling, and they parked by water, and it was storming bad, and they just parked the trailer and they parked it right next to the lake, and they normally wouldn't do that because they don't like being by water, especially at night. So they did that, and
Romanians believe water attracts spirits.
yeah, and so they were parked there, and then they said it was storming really bad, and then they heard someone knock out the door, and when they did, there was 3 old people, and they had really light red skin and were kind of creepy, And I can't remember what they asked. Do you remember? Like, I'm drawing a blank, and I know this story very well. Anyways, they spoke to him for a second and then closed the door. And then they got really freaked because they kept hearing this noise outside. And it kept sounding like someone was scratching the outside of the trailer, walking around it and scratching it. And then out of nowhere, I think they said that the door flew open. And when that happened, my grandmother said to my grandfather, grab the money and grab the baby and let's go. They ran out, jumped in the car, and took off. And when they came back the next morning, they said there were scratch marks around the whole trailer. And they realized they were parked right next to the lake, and they were freaking out because my dad was just a little baby. And like, our family kind of believes you just don't go by water. And then some of them still believe that when a baby's born, that no one can come in or out after 12 until the baby gets baptized or dedicated.
Now you know, for safety. We're all scared of a Karen.
White ladies are a type of ghost that are shrouded in tragedy. Their origins are usually an accidental death, a broken heart from a lover's demise or betrayal, or a tragic murder or suicide.
That's scary as shit.
Yeah.
These ghosts are usually sighted at the scene of their death, or the nearby area, such as a forest, a lonely road, a castle, or a country house. White ladies are perhaps the most common type of ghost that are still sighted to this day in England. They never speak and rarely cause any harm, but their presence is often considered to be unlucky, and there remains a real fear of them. Some white ladies are known to us, such as Anne Boleyn, the wife of Henry VIII who was executed. She haunts a number of locations. Other white ladies, however, we don't know the identity of. Their names and stories are lost to history. In Somerset, the apple tree man is the name given to the spirit of the oldest apple tree in the orchard. It's within this tree that the entire fertility of the orchard resides.
See, that's
Similar
like
to the tradition of wassailing and singing to the trees, people were known to give offerings to the apple tree man. Offerings are given by pouring cider on the roots of the tree. In one
It's like some
story,
pagan Celtic
a man
stuff.
gives the apple tree man an offering of mulled cider, his last mug of mulled cider in fact. And as a reward, the apple tree man reveals to him the location of buried gold.
Wow.
In another story, the apple tree man cautions a curious cat to leave his orchard because soon people will be firing guns to drive away witches and ghosts in the area. The cat obeys him and isn't hurt by any stray bullets.
Why would people be firing guns? Let us know. Harry Potter, Bogart.
Boggarts, also known as
Boggarts.
boggles, are creatures from which we get the term bogeyman. They usually can be found
learn
living in
something.
or around farmsteads and cause mischief by souring milk, making animals go lame, and hiding tools. If a family tries to leave the farm, the boggart will follow them on to the next place. There are also boggarts that live in more remote areas, such as holes in the ground, caves and marshes. These ones are far more dangerous, kidnapping children and being uncontrollably violent.
That's creepy.
Many places across England are named after boggarts and boggles, such as the Boggle Hole near Robin Hood's Bay in Yorkshire.
You want to listen to Boggle?
I don't know, I'm scared.
Knockers mean something completely different in America.
In Cornwall and Devon, the knockers are small creatures that live in the tin mines and commit random acts of mischief. Knockers could blow out candles or hide tools, but at worst, they could cause the mine to collapse. However, the knockers were more likely to be helpful, provided the miners were kind to them and gave them offerings of the last bite of their pasties. The knockers would knock on the walls of the mine to warn the workers of impending collapses.
All right, this is gonna be the last one.
The Guy Trash, also known as the Shagfo, is another legendary black dog that haunts the lonely roads across northern England. It's able to shapeshift, taking on the forms of horses, donkeys, or mules, and even cranes. While often preying on lonely travellers and leading them into danger, they are also known to be benevolent at times, guiding lost people back onto the right road. Despite their occasional acts of kindness though, they are usually feared, especially when their eyes are glowing red like hot coals.
Like, my question is like, how old are a lot of these beliefs?
Yeah.
Like anytime that I see something small, anything that looks fair, you know what I mean? Like fair folk, like the mine ones. Like, I feel like that's like goes back to like the Celts and the Druids. That's what I was thinking. The Druids, because the Druids are like a very mystical, like ancient people among like Great Britain and Ireland. But like you have so many of these like different little fairy tales and stuff like that, or like different type of things from all over the country. But I guess like, I mean, what do you got, 2,000 years or over 1,000 years? Roman bringing in some type of superstition, the Vikings bringing in superstition, the French, whatever they brought. No hate on the French. It's funny to make jokes about the French. What?
I'm laughing because he keeps making that face.
I'm not making a face. If you're French, don't get upset. You probably made a face as soon as you looked at us. We know how this game works. My 1 to what, year 20? Anyway. So, no, I really enjoy that. That's something that I really enjoy to do. But if you guys want to see more of these, you're going to have to check out Jolly Reaver's videos, and we're going to put the link down below, and you can see all 25. And obviously that was super interesting. I'm going to watch that after this.
Yeah, because I was going to say, let's just keep going, but.
Yeah, I kind of want to keep going, but we're not going to do that. You want to see more of his video, check it out, and subscribe to his channel, because he's got more stuff like that. He puts a lot of work into these, so go watch it. If you have a ghost story, share it. I might. Now listen, I try to read every comment. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. There's a lot of comments that come through. But we do have a Discord. And when we get done with this video, probably now, you'll see the link to our Discord down below. 2 things, right? 1, I'm gonna put something for the Halloween season. You have a ghost story, share it with me. We wanna read it. All right, so join in and tell us some scary ghost stories. And if you guys want to see us dive more into the folklore, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. I'm happy to be back. I felt like we was a little rusty, but I think we did good.
I did too, but I'm happy to be back too.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm Rich Trippin.
And I'm Tiffany.
And that was 10 creatures in English folklore and myth.